Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, we are we're spinning back into your lives. This is Game Chat. Tom Lucas. We got special guests and former guests of the show, Tim Carbone with us. This is the season 2 finale. We're gonna have a crazy time
Woo!
and let's get into it.
Let's do
Tom is
it.
breaking stuff.
I'm not
Oh my
breaking anything.
goodness.
That's an indestructible fidget spinner. Also unable to ever be lost. Has stuck with me for years at this point. Paxy's pickup right there. Back when they gave out swag, unlike this year where they didn't really give
No,
out.
hating on current packs.
No, man, it's just gonna, they jump back to square one, but they're gonna build it back. But it's good to see you, Lucas. Glad to be here with you for our season finale. Right as AOC starts a live fundraiser, in case anybody was unaware.
Okay. Also good to see Tim, who's back on the show after a little bit of a hiatus, and I think that was season 1 that he first joined us, and it's been a minute. How are we doing?
It was. I have a much better mic this time. Hopefully no audio problems this time. But yeah, it's great to be back. Thanks, guys.
Yo, glad you are back, Tim. Glad you can be here with us for our finale episode. You're very knowledgeable in the industry. You are a professional in the industry. So, it's nice to have you on at least once a season if we can. So
Got to get
very
that
happy you're
expert
here.
opinion in sometimes.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. Just like how experts would also tell you to go to our Instagram at GameChat_Tom Lucas, where you can follow along and keep up with us as we divulge all the content. Lucas has left the building, folks. But yeah, glad you're here with us today, Tim. Very excited to dive into this sort of wrap-up episode for season 2.
I guess we should start off the show by just we can ask Tim first since he is our special guest. But what have you been gaming lately? What you been playing?
Ooh, so normally I would say most of my life I have been a very single player focused player. There's been I'm a Splatoon player, love Splatoon. I got my TF2 in, but most of the time it's single player. But for some reason I've been on a multiplayer kick lately. And so I've been getting back into Rocket League. Got a little Fall Guys yesterday. But the big one that I've been hitting into is Final Fantasy 14 Online, which I would not have expected to have been interested in maybe even like 6 months ago. But I don't know, the hype around that game is super interesting. And the story and the backstory of it is really cool. And I was looking for something. The free trial is really generous. It gives you like 100 hours of content just to start out on. And I don't know, it's a bit of a grind, but it's pretty interesting to play my first MMO in probably like 10 years.
Damn, yeah, I've heard really good things about that game. A good friend of ours, Jake, who usually plays Borderlands with us when we stream on YouTube at Game Chat, Tom Lucas. He's a big fan of that game as well and is always going back to it. Because I've asked him, like, have you like beat this game? Like, have you like finished the main quest? And he's like, I mean, yeah, for the most part, but there's just so much side post content, weekly raids, like big DLC drops. So I feel like that game's kind of had its like day in the sun for the past like year or two for sure. So it's good to hear that another person is also enjoying it.
Yeah, every expansion seems to bring the hype higher and higher. And ever since WoW started kind of declining, people I don't know if you guys had all talked on the show about the big server issue, but like WoW was going down, everyone was moving over to Final Fantasy 14 to the point where the servers couldn't handle it, and like they had to stop sales of the game and stop free trials for like a couple months until they got more servers up and running, which is pretty interesting. I've never really seen a company try that of like, hey, we want the experience to be as good as it can be for people that actually play the game. And so I don't know. Have you guys played any MMOs recently? Are you MMO people?
I've dabbled. I haven't really gotten too deep into it. I mean, the closest I got, I remember I played this game called Terra for a while on my laptop, and it ran really crappy. And I played like an archer assassin class, but my like race was the like largest ogre looking mofo. So I just had this big ass hulking warrior looking dude who would like sit on top of the hills while my friends would go fight people. And that's about the extent of that I got into. But not really, haven't really dived into too many MMOs otherwise. What about you, Lucas?
Same for me. Not really. I don't know if I dislike them. I just haven't really given them the time of day.
Yeah, I'm the same
I
way.
mean, isn't RuneScape technically
It
like
is an
an MMO?
Yeah, but that's like a meme. Like,
It's totally an MMO.
like no, but when we play it, I'm saying like
Oh.
we go to like drop parties. Like we don't even really play the game as intended. We had a good time though at the height of COVID. Just going to the Grand Exchange. We'd play like rock, paper, scissors with people for like cash. We didn't do a lot of questing, but it was a good time just chatting with other people.
As long as you're having fun. Did either of you guys ever dive into speaking of kind of meme MMOs, did either of you ever dive into Realm of the Mad God?
No,
No.
I have heard of that though.
Oh, that game was like a free to play browser game. Wait. I think it still technically is. There might be a second, like a sequel out, but it was basically like a permadeath pixel, like 8-bit MOBA that you could play with your friends. It was a lot of fun. We should dive in sometime. Just like we should dive into these news stories that have been popping in and about the gaming world this week. So Lucas, we'll jump to you, man. You see anything cool? See anything that crossed your plate this week?
They did, and those loyal listeners and viewers of Game Chat will have seen this on the Instagram, which you should check out, give us a follow. But that is the Multiverses Alpha. Still not a fan of the name. I think Warner Smash Bros is really a more accurate description, but that is available for only select people in the world, such as Tom and myself, who have access and will be playing and giving other people some of our codes so we can get some squads. And at this time, you are allowed to post content, unlike the closed network test from earlier this year. Stay tuned for that. But I'm looking forward to that. That's about a week long, and then at some point, hopefully this year, it'll come out with the official game, maybe before God of War Ragnarok is released, but we'll see.
More like definitely. Yeah, I'm very excited to jump into that one. Gonna play it on PS5 this time because my PC is still dead, as you can probably tell. But yeah, gonna play on PC this time. Excited to jump in. They're doing the closed alpha this week, and then later in July this summer there will be an open beta as well before the game and like finally releases. Tim, I know we got to get you a code for that. You were on the list as well, so we'll hit you up with one probably after the show, so you can dive right in alongside it.
Yeah, it looks cool.
The cool thing is even the alpha is crossplay, which I guess makes sense. You gotta test out those capabilities, but I'm pretty excited to play with the homies. I forget who I was really like playing a lot of last time, but I got really good. I think Wonder Woman. I was playing a ton of Wonder Woman.
Of course you were.
Last time. Yeah. Batman's really hard to use, so I can really use him, but didn't unlock Superman yet.
I saw they announced Velma and the Iron Giant, which are
Oh, did you guys see the video today, like from them, like promoting the alpha?
No.
They had Iron Giant Superman like moment.
Oh,
I almost shed a tear. Yeah, the cinematic, because that's like the Iron Giant's whole character arc. And I was like, oh, these people are doing it right.
Yeah, it's definitely a good time. Lucas got really good at Tom and Jerry last time.
I low-key think they switched the controls because I was playing as them like a couple matches earlier today, and some of the stuff that I remember using was not in there.
For sure. I mean, that's the whole shtick with the network tests and things like that. You're playing an in-progress game, so
yeah,
a lot of stuff just won't be in there later on down the line. Tim knows quite a lot about that, being in the industry.
Oh man, the amount of stuff I've coded that instantly got thrown away.
You hate to see it.
Yeah. It feels bad, but it's always for the better of the game.
For sure. Yeah, but we're excited to jump into multiverses. Everybody here at Game Chat is. We gave producer Bill a code as well, so we're gonna dive in, try that out soon. Probably do some streaming tomorrow, or not tomorrow. Saturday. Today's Thursday, but not Friday. But yeah, we're excited. We're gonna jump in. Just like how later this summer, I am very excited to dive back into a game you mentioned earlier, Tim. Fall Guys is gonna, I believe, later in July. I don't have the exact date handy on me, but later this summer, Fall Guys is going totally free to play, and they're also bringing it to Xbox and Nintendo Switch and having full crossplay and cross-platform progression. So it's going to be a fun time. Fall Guys was certainly a hype-ass moment when it debuted. Was unfortunate that it was restricted only to PC and PlayStation users, of course, but now be totally free to play. People who didn't really get to it last time can dive in. There's a lot more content now, which will be nice. It's like going to be season 6 or 7 or something like that. They're also eventually going to be adding a level editor to Fall Guys as well. So people can make their own custom obstacle courses and runs and such like that, which I think is something that game will hugely, hugely benefit from. And, unlike a lot of games, like big multiplayer games that tend to have trends like that, I feel like this will give it a very, well-deserved boost and sort of bring it back into the public eye. You guys are going to be trying that out? Tim, you mentioned you've been playing earlier, so
Yeah,
I can't imagine you won't dive in.
I re-downloaded it specifically because of the free-to-play news. I was like, all right, it's been a little bit. I'm curious to see what is up with it, because when I played it, I really liked it at first, but I think that like you said, the content just wasn't there. There wasn't enough to dig into.
Sure.
And after playing a couple days, you'd seen everything and you'd already gotten good at everything, and it just kind of got stale. Playing it again, there's definitely a ton more games. They still give you a lot of the ones from the beginning, which really bothers me. Like almost every match I start up, the first level is almost always one of the maps from when I played it all long ago. But they have added a lot more variety. Like I've gotten a lot of the jungle maps, gotten a couple ice maps. I think they have some like Night Kingdom maps from the second season or something.
Oh, sure.
So if they can maintain the content, I think that this will be really nice for them to boost the player base with free to play.
Most definitely. Yeah, that game suffers like the same kind of thing that Halo has, where it's like there actually is like quite a few maps in there, but they're all restricted to certain game mode sizes and different modes and whatnot. But with Fall Guys, it's like, okay, we have these 4 maps that are round 1 and these 6 that are round 2 and so on and so forth. So kind of sad to hear that you still frequently see a lot of the same ones, but at the same time, it'll be nice to get a refresher, if you will.
Yeah, and everyone's skill has gone up as like the game is like everyone's playing the game more, you learn the maps more, you get better at them. And so I think maybe the fun of the beginning, like I think my first match I ever played, I won the crown. But then after that, I wasn't as good because people were getting to know the game a bit better. So I've definitely been losing in the first or second round a couple more times now than I was back then. But I don't know. I'm curious. I'm excited.
Lucas, you gonna play some Fall Guys? Makes a great drinking game.
We'll definitely give it a go. I don't think I've ever played it before. At least I don't remember playing it extensively. So I would definitely I would definitely give it a try. And regardless of if it's a good drinking game or not, I'd probably just drink anyway. So we can make it a good time.
Yeah, we'll definitely dive into that as well. Tim, you see any other news stories that you want to dive into?
Yeah, today they announced a game that had been heavily rumored and kind of leaked a little bit for a while, but it's Marvel Snap.
Oh, yo, this actually looks awesome.
So those who did not see, it is a new mobile and PC focused card battler card collection game by some former devs of the Hearthstone team. It focuses on Marvel characters, and I think it seems to streamline a lot of stuff that I don't really like about card games. Like matches only take like 3 minutes. They say you can only have like 12 cards in your deck, and they're all unique. And so deck building's a lot easier. And there's this really cool mechanic that I really like, that when you think you're going to win a match, you can double down and try and get double of your reward, which I don't know. I'm a huge fan of risk reward mechanics, especially ones that make you choose to like opt into them like that. So I don't know. I know you were talking about it earlier, Thomas. What do you think?
Oh, for sure. I think this looks cool. I definitely like hands down will be in. It's Marvel. It's like, I don't know if you caught the last episode, but me and Lucas have been really, really into Slay the Spire of late. So deck building games have been kind of right up our alley lately. So once I saw this today, I was like, oh, I'm in instantly. And I saw it's going to be a mobile game. They're hoping to progress to other platforms as well. I know they said that eventually they want to, like, they're going to try to get out there before the global release, or with the global release, they want to try to get out an early access PC port. So that will be interesting to see as well. And it seems like they're also doing an Android beta for those Android people out there. But I definitely want to give this a try. Lucas, did you happen to catch this whatsoever? Or does this sound something that you'd be into? It's like it's similar to Slay the Spire in a way, but
in that it has cards.
That sounds like a stretch.
I mean, it's a similar game in which you're like buffing. I imagine, like, you're using cards to defeat an enemy. Just in this case, the enemy is another person.
So the understanding that I got from the gameplay video was each match, there are 3 locations out on the board, and you can play, like, you both take your turn simultaneously, and then when you both take your turn, it'll reveal both of your turns at the same time. And then I think you basically just like control the locations, and you have to control 2 of them to win. And I think it's not necessarily that like you're having them fight as much as you're trying to exert more power with like your character's points on each of the locations. And each of the characters has their own unique ability that the effects looked really cool. Like I saw one with Captain America where his shield was bouncing around a couple different cards.
Yeah, that was cool. Lucas, you'll have to check out the trailer for this, because I feel like you might be into it.
It's nothing like Slay the Spire. Don't let him lie to you like
that's
that.
What I based on
it's
your
got cards.
description of
Ooh.
it, that's not enough of a similarity.
They're both deck building games.
I mean, so is Uno.
Uno is not
Uno is a
build
deck
a deck in Uno.
Game.
I'll definitely peep the trailer.
All right, humor me. Oh man. Well, facts. Yeah, that game certainly looks cool. As you can see, guys, there's a lot of cool stuff on the horizon that we here at Game Chat are excited for, and we are glad we can share it with you.
That is going to be wrapping up season 2. Once again, everyone, this is the final episode of the season. We'll be taking a brief respite, a little bit of a break, preparing season 3 content, making the show and Game Chat even bigger and better. But until then, we wanted to kind of give our final analysis and thoughts on season 2 and what we've done so far, and just kind of do a season 2 in review. And Tom is is getting some dust off of something. But yeah, so that's the agenda for today's episode.
For sure. Yeah, the season 2 break, or season 3 break, if you will, is going to be approximately probably about a month or so. We're gonna take some time to really learn, grow, use the things that we have gained in knowledge from doing this whole season, this run of 16 episodes, to really, take some time and figure out how we can best improve our product and our craft. We've got a couple ideas in the pipeline. I don't want to necessarily promise anything right out the gate, but things like an intro, or things like better content and new kinds of content output in terms of socials, doing a better job of getting guests on the podcast that we can have interviews with instead of more kind of nebulous and conversation based pieces like this. Really sort of developing some new systems into our pipeline that we think can really help us grow as a channel in terms of outreach, quality, and value. What do you think, Tim? Again, you hyped as a fan?
Oh, I'm a huge Game Chat with Tom and Lucas fan. So I'm actually no, I think the growth you guys have had just between seasons 1 and 2 is pretty big. So I'm excited to see what you come up with for the next one.
Part of that break is also for those who might not know, if you never listen to us on audio services, you might miss that there's an entire season 1. So part of that journey in that break will be, in fact, porting all those season 1 episodes onto YouTube for some added value and added place to get those. So for sure, I'm glad to hear you like our growth, my friend. Thank you.
It's sus. A weird way to say it, but
sus.
Okay.
Very sus. Yeah, I'm thinking we have big money cash giveaways.
Give away a PS5 if you can get one.
We'll have to talk to the producer to see if that's in the budget. But yeah, once again, no promises. As we work on season 3, I'm sure we'll have some, posting updates to confirm and let you guys know what will be happening for the new season. As we've reiterated before, this break is just for the podcast. There'll still be content on Instagram and YouTube, so definitely still check around there because there will be new stuff. So don't go away.
For sure, and we'll dive into we'll dive into some of the more immediate plans we have for that in between content a little later as we get to the section where we look to the future. But as Lucas said, this is kind of going to be a little bit of an in review episode. Brought Tim on, like I said, because he's always a good value add to the podcast. I think he always brings some good conversation. So we're going to just take some time to step back, look at both the industry as a whole, what's been put out over the past year since we started season 2, and also hone in on our podcast and talk about the things that we have liked, certain episode formats that particularly stuck out to us that we think did well, those kinds of things. So I guess we'll jump right ahead. Tim, I as the fan here and the person who is not one of the 2 co-hosts, and I want to ask you the question of what do you, if you could pick a certain moment or a certain episode of season 2 from this podcast that you really liked, what would it be? What made it stand out to you? What do you think we could do better?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I'm as big of a fan of Game Chat and Tom and Lucas as I am in Trevor Hubbard. And that crossover event was insane, guys. Great job pulling him in for that one. So yeah, no, I liked that episode a lot where you guys talked about the different subscription services, because I think looking at the content of each of them and just kind of giving a good sense of what like your personal vibe with each of them was, like, yeah, you could argue that it was at the end of the day just a discussion about the platforms themselves, but I think you guys dug in a lot to the good sides and the bad sides of each of them. Like, I don't necessarily think PlayStation Plus has to be great because Sony's already killing it elsewhere, versus Game Pass is like the meat and potatoes, as you like to say, of Xbox. And so hearing you guys kind of hash those out, and you weren't all completely in agreement with each other, which is always makes for good conversation.
Oh, for sure. Lucas, what did you think about that episode in particular? What do you think about conversations like that? I tend to think that, like Tim mentioned, when we can have various differing opinions on the show, differing opinions, it really adds a lot of value to the conversation as a whole. But I don't know. How do you think that one went?
I mean, yeah, that was kind of our whole idea for the show originally, like back in season 1, was like a big gaming debate style type deal. I mean, obviously it's good that we've kind of expanded to include a variety of episode types and whatnot, but I think it is nice every once in a while to have that type of style. And if there is a good topic, like, I think that was a good thing to discuss. It is refreshing just to get 2 or 3 different takes on something. And I think we were pretty fair in our assessment of the big three. So I had fun with that one. It is, as Tim said, it's always nice when Trevor makes an appearance. We have to
Yeah.
pull a lot of strings to get him to come. But when we do get him, it's worth it.
Yeah, I'd have to say a lot of the ones we get guests on definitely are fun to spice it up a bit as well. Specifically, the interview we did with you back in season 1, Tim, and then one of the most recent interviews we had with our friend Squid Daddy himself, a retro fellow, I thought were particularly strong suits for the show, just because having a guest always brings a fresh perspective to the show, brings a new voice in. As we continue talking about this kind of stuff, getting a little bit of the inside baseball kind of episode, if you will, as we wrap up, that's definitely something I want to emphasize moving forward as we go into the future, bringing on more people in the industry, bringing on industry adjacent people who might not, necessarily be in the games space, but doing things that would already be in the game space, if that makes sense. Content creators, just different perspectives to do these kinds of interview based. I don't know. Tim, we've had a few people on the show before. Being one of the recipients of the more interview style format, if you will, do you think you'd like to see more things like that format, or more of just like, oh, hey, like, let's bring someone in to join in on the conversation, add a fresh take? This is similar to the one with Trevor or the one we did with David a while back where we talked about the Souls games.
I like both types of content for different reasons. I think that general topics that you guys are talking about, like the subscription services, I think that lends itself really well to just having another person on there. Because sometimes 2 people isn't enough for getting a real good diverse point of view on that stuff. But for interviews, I've always been someone that thinks that more eyes on the different interworking jobs of the industry makes it a better industry as a whole, because if you understand the way that they're making the sausage, it's going to taste a lot better at the end of the day, in my opinion. But yeah, if you guys have ever need a game artist or a programmer or a producer, let me know. I've got some people from school. I think the internet or the interview format fits really well with you guys, because you 2 are super curious about all that stuff, so it comes across really genuinely.
That's good to hear for sure. I like doing those kinds of things, and I will definitely hit you up as a way to try to get more people on as well. So definitely be prepared for that. Plus, it's always nice to talk to other people about like different games they're playing and stuff. Like, I always like hearing what you guys are playing, like seeing what's been going on. It helps add, I don't know, relatability to it. If in a way, it's good to see what other people got going on, what different tastes are, because that's just the best way to share tastes and recommendations, are just, talking about the games you like at the end of the day. Like, Lucas, what would you say probably, out of all the games you've talked about and covered here on this show this season, what do you think stands out to you the most, other than Slay the Spire, which we talked an earful about last week? Because I know that's certainly been a standout one for me, but just wanted to see what you guys kind of think about the past year of gaming so far, what you've been really jazzing, vibing on.
We're talking like season 2 of the show, so like January of this year to now.
It's convenient in that our season 2 basically also started with 2022, so it works out that way.
Yeah, I mean, Slay the Spire would definitely be up there. I think the top spot, which is unfortunate, would be Elden Ring, because I haven't played that game in over a month. And it's really just finding the time for that big hunk of game. But that's definitely been the best game I've played this year, if not ever. It's just it's many hours required. So got to carve out some time in my life to get back in there, because I was really into it the first like 2 weeks, and then life catches up with you and you have responsibilities and work and other things. So
all the non-gamer normie activities, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So those get in the way of a good time, unfortunately. But yeah, that's we never did end up doing that a multiplayer. So maybe season 3 we'll finally figure out Elden Ring online.
Oh, bro.
But
I don't even know. Tim, have you dived into Elden Ring whatsoever?
No, so I have held off on Elden Ring, half because I have unfortunately never been able to get myself into a Souls game. I respect and love the design of them, but I just play a totally different type of game. But I know that I will probably like this one. I just need to be in the right mind space to get into it
mhm,
because I don't want to taint what people are saying like a really good experience. I don't want to hype it up and like make it a huge thing in my head, but I do
Mhm.
want to like be ready for it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as we discussed in our gaming backlog episode earlier this season, you do have to be in that right kind of mood and mindset when you're diving into a game like that. Any game, really, just in general. It's good to get a fresh take on, somebody who hasn't played it, because I feel like most people I talk to these days have. I don't know. As someone from the outside looking in, do you think that's like gonna take the game of the year spot, like hands down?
I won't say it's a shoe in. I will say that it will be very difficult for anything to unseat it. I think God of War Ragnarok has a chance
I think that's the
because when
only
you
game.
compare the original's release, it was really contentious against Red Dead 2, which if you look at review scores, reviewed well, even better than God of War. But when it came down to the number of awards, I believe God of War took like 100 ahead in whatever official list I was looking at. And so I think the impact of the game will be lesser because it's a sequel. But I do think that that is probably the biggest game this year that has a shot at taking Elden Ring down.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I thought Starfield might have a chance, but that,
Got pushed.
got pushed like I expected it would. It's going to be interesting to see what God of War ends up looking like as we kind of dive into the things we'll start talking about things we're looking forward to in the future in the upcoming months. But it'll be interesting to see A, if that game comes out, and B, how it differs from the original itself. And also, might I just toss out there, uh, Marvel Spider-Man was the most snubbed game of 2018
stop,
by a
stop,
long shot.
stop. No, it was not.
It was an 8 out of 10 in a year of tens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
snubbed,
it was a
snubbed.
good game, but it's not like those first two were just, it happened to
I
be
didn't
third
vibe with it as
best.
much as you did, but
It's not a bad game. It's just God of War, Red Dead. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, Tom? You can't win them
You're
all.
gonna give the goddamn amazing Spider-Man his due
His
diligence
his
is
his
what you're
due
gonna
diligence
do.
third place medal. He deserves it. He deserves that third
Ah,
place medal. Bronze is the best you're gonna get. I can't give you more than a bronze.
hey man, all I'm saying is with the iteration they did in Spider-Man Miles Morales,
Oh
Spider-Man
God.
2, Spider-Man 2 about to be some heat, Lucas. About to be some heat is all I'm saying.
I still have beef with that game when they made the main character look like an animated whatever his name is.
What?
They changed the Peter Parker design in the video game to look like the
oh,
real one, and I did not fuck with that at all.
No, you get way used to it once you play the remaster.
you
All I
get
gotta
used
say.
to it, but the old one was ugly anyway. I didn't think the character art in the first like the original was very good, but I know that that was like a huge leap for the team, and so I
Mhm.
respect everything that they did, and I think the new one looks better, even if it
Does
doesn't
look
fit
better.
what I think he should look like.
I couldn't agree more. I think he looks way better. And he also just like, you know what? That's what they're going with moving forward. So you're gonna have to get used to it eventually, Lucas. Plus, you're playing a game where the guy is wearing a mask 85% of the
Yeah, you
game.
see his
So it
back
doesn't
almost the entirety of it. So
yeah, it doesn't fucking matter anyway. Like at the end of the day. Um, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Spider-Man 2 brings to the table in 2023, which could potentially be the best year in gaming since 2018. I don't know. got a lot of big releases to look forward to next year. Got a lot of big releases to look forward to for the rest of this year, but nothing other than God of War 2, I think, has Game of the Year potential lined up. But lots of them 2023 titles are queued up to look pretty good. Jumping ahead, kind of moving on down the chain of this agenda, we'll start to talk about things we're looking forward to in the future, stuff we're going to be covering here on the podcast moving forward. A lot of these games, hopefully in 2023 and beyond, are going to be showcased at Jeff Keighley's Summer Games Splooge opening night live event, which we will certainly be covering. That'll be taking place on June 9th, I believe. We will not be going to an IMAX theater. We'll just be watching it on our computers like most people will, I imagine. But yeah, hopefully we'll see some cool content there for 2023 and hopefully the rest of this year as well. I imagine they'll have some Fall Guys something because Jeff Keighley
he loves that game.
He's the ambassador for that game, I swear to God. But who knows? Who knows? I doubt we'll see any Spider-Man 2, but I really, really want to eventually. But that game's a ways away. I don't know. Tim, what are you looking forward to in 2023? What do you want to see covered by one of your favorite gaming podcasts on the internet?
Oh, looking forward. Okay. Well, I have to say my most anticipated game of this year, something that's not going to, you guys aren't going to give a shit about, but Splatoon 3. Can you guys believe this? Like, they're coming out with another one. I'm super excited. I became a huge Splatoon fan when 2 came out. I got it, didn't care about it at all. And then randomly one morning, I woke up before a bunch of my friends when we were all hanging out in Montreal, and I played a little bit of it on my own, and suddenly it shot me off into being a super fan. And so I'm super hyped for that game.
It does look like it has like a lot, like the single player element of it looks pretty cool, but for me, I just can't get behind the core gameplay, which is just territory wars with paint.
Well, that's only the casual play. The ranked play is completely different and focuses a lot more on, like, it still is very like objective focus, but it forces you to do eliminations a lot more than just running around and shooting everywhere on the ground. And the single player in that game specifically, I think a lot of people overlook the single player in Splatoon because of how multiplayer focused it is. But especially the Octo expansion was like unreasonably low, like good. It just like they went off the walls with all the level design ideas, and it's kind of non-linear, so you get to choose your path through the subway system. Yeah, I would recommend it to anyone that casually likes shooters, because I'm not a good shooter player, but it's a lot of fun. The style in the game is crazy addictive, and I don't know, there's something about it. The design of it is just super smart to me.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they're coming out with a third one, so clearly you're not the only one out there.
It's like their best game in Japan. Like, specifically Japan loves that game. It's not like the best game, but it is like an insanely well-selling game for Japan comparatively to Nintendo's other like software series. Oh yeah, especially Nintendo. Nintendo's like almost always a very Japan first company. So that's cool to hear that one of the more popular franchises or more North American tentpole franchises, as opposed to like a Fire Emblem or something like that, is getting that much hype over there as well. Hopefully we'll see some more Nintendo games coming soon. One in particular I'm looking forward to is the new Mario Strikers. I was just gonna say, I'm so hyped for that one.
We'll certainly be playing that one. Lucas won't, because he's sad and doesn't have a Switch. But I know that Nintendo is bound to have some sort of summer event as we approach the E3, non-E3 time of the year.
Because they're pretty good at only announcing games that are going to come out like soon. Like last year, Metroid Dread got announced in the summer and it came out at the end of the year.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they don't really do the
they do big ones like Zelda, and Splatoon was early, but they seem to like to keep it to like a year or so before it releases.
Yeah. Lucas, when is Nintendo finally going to convince you to hop on that wave, buddy? What's it going to take? What do you need to bring you into the fold?
What's it gonna take?
Yeah, if money was a non-factor in all things,
If money
in a
was a
perfect world.
non-factor, I'd have it right now.
All right.
It wouldn't take
All right,
anything. Just it being free. there, there could be only one game on there, and it's like if it's free, I'll play whatever that one game is.
All right. Well, that was a dumb question. And even dumber answer. That
I don't know.
yeah.
We'll have to TBD on that one. Oh.
Anything you're looking forward to that we could potentially cover this summer, Lucas? I mean, there's quite a lot of game announcements that have been made for the next year and throughout the rest of this year. But anything you're hoping to see as we go into this break where we're only going to be covering these types of E3 events, like the Summer Game Splooge, like the Nintendo Directs, like the Xbox Bethesda Showcase, which is on June 12th, and hopefully eventually a Sony Showcase. I don't know. What do you think, Lucas? What do you think?
Probably some more information on the new Avatar game that's going to be coming out at some point.
The Ubisoft one?
I think so. The Frontiers of Pandora. So I don't know whether, I mean, that's probably going to be a 2023 release, if I had to guess. But I have a feeling they'll probably be, hyping it up and doing some teasers and whatnot over the next couple months. Because I think they originally were showing footage of that. That's something we covered last year.
I think they
At the last
announced it
Summer Game
at last
Splooge.
E3, but it was a cinematic trailer, so it's hard to tell when that is coming out.
For sure.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get some footage this summer, but that's kind of something I don't know. I feel like that could either be, absolute dog water, or like if they actually did it right, it could be crazy just because that's such a fun world to take place in. But, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Ubisoft has been we've talked about them here before on the show. So hopefully they get it right.
Are you predicting a Year of the Blue People with both the game and the sequel coming out? And also, not only is the sequel coming out, they're also just putting the first one out in theaters again and remastering it because, the most successful movie of all time, of course it
only
could
Avatar.
make more money,
Yeah, they want that top spot. They were very upset with Marvel
will too.
Studios for being overtaken. But yeah, I mean, they have their own like phases now that they're gonna do. Like they have like 6 movies planned. It's like you guys didn't put a movie out for over a decade, and you're telling me you have like 3 on the docket over the next 6 years.
I think they simultaneously filmed 2, 3, and 4 to some extent.
Yeah, they're going hard.
I know they were able to do a lot of this second one during COVID because a majority of it was filmed underwater. So
these movies are wild. Like they just do the craziest shit. So I don't know, maybe next big money making franchise, probably for the next 2 decades, it's gonna be Avatar.
Oh yeah, I mean, we shall see. I certainly hope so. It's gonna always infuriate me that they overtook Endgame just out of spite to come back to it, because Marvel will probably never reach that height again, if you ask me. But we'll see.
Well, Avatar's numbers meant like more, back when it originally took the title.
Well, yeah,
like that thing made so much money. Like that was unheard of back in like 2009 or whatever that was.
It's pretty incredible how much money that movie made, and then just it was erased from the public consciousness and pop culture as a whole. Like,
yeah,
I'm trying to think of something like as hill and valley as that, like so quickly.
Like a one-hit wonder, but for a major movie blockbuster.
Yeah,
which is almost unheard of.
They've had a lot of those one-hit wonder moments for games, like Fall Guys, like Among Us, like.
Hey man, Among Us is still going strong in the Fortnite community.
Okay.
Tom is not an Among Us fan, Tim, if you didn't know
guess
already.
not. I guess
Like
not.
act like an avid hater though. Like he
That's kind of
despises
fucked
the
up. That's
game.
kind of screwed up.
Yeah,
Dude,
he's
Among Us is the most boring version of Mafia out there.
Can you at least agree that it is a really cool story of how that game came to power?
I mean, sure, but that doesn't make it a good game.
No, you got to find the good in everything, Thomas. If you're just gonna come in here and be a hater, I can't keep calling you the master of hype.
Listen, man, I can
titles on
listen.
the line.
Listen, I like to be unbiased and
Oh, okay, Marvel
hypercritical
man.
in my reviews. Hey, man, that last Doctor Strange movie wasn't it? It wasn't it. However, the 2 hours of the Guardians of the Galaxy game I played before my PC died was lit. That game was cool, and I look forward to getting my PC back or upgrading to the new PlayStation Plus tier to play it there, whichever comes first.
Whoa, okay. Tom's considering making a change. This is big news, everybody.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. They also recently dropped the list of all the titles.
Not all the titles, just to clarify.
Correct. Most of the titles that would be available for those different tiers. And Guardians of the Galaxy is in fact one of them. We'll see. Depends if I ever get my PC back in time. But yeah, those are some of the things we'll be talking about and covering, going into 2020, the rest of 2022 and 2023 and beyond as we continue with this lovely podcast. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Definitely trying to do a lot more streaming. Me and Lucas have talked endlessly about, I have talked endlessly about games that I want Lucas to play with me that we never really get around to trying. So maybe in season 3 we can aim to try out some of those games, huh, Lucas?
Well, the problem is there's too many games Tom wants to hit, and then like another game will pop up. Like we just started playing Rocket League like last week. And, like that wasn't on the list.
We gotta
But
stream some more Rocket League. We won like 8
there we
matches
were
in a row.
playing 3 hours of Rocket League last week. So that's this gaming backlog is never gonna end, Tom.
Listen, man, we'll do great. Rocket League is cross-plat. We can play all we want. It's free to play. Like I'm telling you, we can rise through the ranks. I literally, Tim, I made Lucas download Rocket League, sat through and watched like an entire run of Slay the Spire, and it was already like 2 a.m. at this point, and I'm like, all right, Lucas, now you got to play Rocket League with me.
It was 2 a.m. Tom's time. It was 3 a.m. on the East Coast.
I sidearmed him into playing, and then we won like literally 2-3 matches in a row. And I'm like, well, Lucas, now we can't win. We have to keep
Yeah,
playing.
Tom was like,
until we
oh,
lose."
we'll just do best 2 of 3. And then we got like our ass kicked one, and he's like, oh, that doesn't count. And then we finally won the 2 of 3, and he's like, oh, well, we play till loss, bro. Play till loss. I was like, Tom, it's 5 a.m., man. I want to go to sleep. But we played another like 3 or 4.
It's an addicting game. I've been playing it a lot recently too.
Hey man, no reason we can't have a 3 squad. We can get producer Bill and have a. I don't even know if they do 4s. They do 4s in Rocket.
There is a 4s mode.
There's a 4-person mode.
It is not a good mode, but they do it.
There's not a competitive mode.
Oh, it's just 1s, 2s, and 3s.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
But yeah, most like I'd say 80% of the games downloaded on my PlayStation are all games Tom has told me to get that we'll play at some point, and most of them we haven't gotten to.
Yeah, Tim is well versed in that area too.
I just deleted It Takes Two from my PlayStation. I want you to know that. I'm not re-downloading it. We're done with this.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, you got to put like a timer limit on with Tom.
Pretty sure we started around this time last year.
Yeah, I think you're right. Hey, if it's any consolation, I also have not finished that game with Paige. So I have not finished that game at all.
And now you won't finish a game of the year, I guess.
Lucas, maybe me and you can.
Don't start it.
That's like game 13.
we tried to play A Way Out, which was the previous Hazelight game, and Lucas had, of course, a litany of technical difficulties, which he does
That
every
game was
time.
that was the worst out of anything we've tried. It was just immediate, like as soon as I connected, it was
Crash.
gone. The whole thing shut down.
Yeah. In season 3, folks, we really hope to straighten out some technical issues here. Hopefully my PC won't break anymore, and then we'll be good there. And Lucas will figure out his internet issues, figure out how to make his microphone work somehow. We'll get there. We'll make it happen for sure.
It's on the internal improvements agenda.
We have a lot of those coming. It's going to be very exciting as we make the jump. I'm excited to take this break so we can really focus and hone in on, a lot of things that I just tend to think about on how we can upgrade. It's just, taking the time to put the time in, because once we do in those certain avenues, then we'll be solid. We'll be rock solid. We won't have to put that time in because it'll already have been put. As we sort of start to wrap up this episode, Tim, what are some things that you think would be cool to have in season 3? What do you want to see?
I think more interviews would be cool, just from different perspectives. Maybe digging into a specific game that you two have both played, whether it's past or present, might be an interesting exercise, or even just a series that you both are super passionate about, just digging into that. Trying new games together. I don't know. I always find it interesting to see the first impressions people get of certain games that I'm interested in.
For sure. Yeah, I've been trying to wrangle Lucas into 30-part series where we play through all of Kingdom Hearts.
Oh yeah, that's just the first game, or all of them?
All of them.
I refuse. No. I would rather do literally anything else gaming related than even turn on a Game of Hearts game.
Listen.
You listen, Tom. That story makes no sense. I'm not gonna attempt to understand it.
Listen, all good things are hard. All good things require work.
It's not. That's not even hard. It's just nonsense. It's just people die and there's hearts and keys and Mickey's involved. People are reborn. There's fake realities. It's I don't understand. I thought this was about Disney characters, and this shit's getting real weird.
There's 4 characters who all look the same and have the same voice actor and all have very similar names.
I don't know what to do with that.
There's 4 dudes named Ansem. It's great. It's good stuff.
Everybody makes the grunting anime noises.
It's the first real big series I got into.
Yeah.
So there is history there, but I'm with Lucas here. I don't know if you need to. I think it is a game that really is interesting to get into, and is actually the 1 and 2 are good games. 1 maybe not so much anymore. I don't know how well it holds up, but 2 is definitely one of the best games out in that realm. And even if you're not a fan of Final Fantasy like I wasn't at the time, even if you are to Disney fan, whatever reason you have for that, there is a really good set of gameplay in there for hack and slash fans.
Lucas, I'm telling you, we could make it such a fun stream content where you're basically playing through a speed run of the games, and anytime you ask me a question, we both drink and I just try to fill in context and whatnot. It'll be great.
Start on 3 and try and understand there.
See, he's not. It wouldn't. If we did it, we would have to do it chronological order and not start with 1, but start with the mobile game cutscenes.
No.
This is not
the cutscenes from the mobile game is what we would start with.
We still have to do an entire Master Chief Collection playthrough. We got halfway through Combat Evolved. It's there's too many things left unfinished.
Listen, we'll get there. I blame you.
Season 16? They'll have dropped 3 more Halo games before we even finish the original trilogy.
We'll get there. We'll get there someday. Oh man. But yeah, Lucas, what is something you other than finishing games with me on stream? What is one of the biggest things you want to implement into the show moving forward?
Maybe just, I don't know whether like playing or just discussing them, but like featuring older games in some way, I think could be interesting, just to give them like, their due and their appreciation, because there are still some old school gems. I remember telling you about the War of the Monsters, which Corey Barlog said was one of his favorite games,
Oh yeah.
which is like 15 years old at this point, but it is a good time. Had that on PS2. But yeah, just stuff like that where you could see the early iterations of what is popular today, or what kind of inspired game developers and producers.
I would
Just
love to see that.
yeah, because
Yeah.
it's easier to do timely stuff, but every once in a while, I think if we just look back, maybe discuss some older iterations.
For sure. Yeah, I think that would be a cool thing to do as well. It'll get us both sort of out of our comfort zone. A lot of those older games kind of seem to be more easily accessible in terms of monetarily anyway. But yeah, I think if we start to do things like that, start to do like, mini series within the podcast, have different episodes be focused on different things, sort of have like a couple of interview episodes and then a couple of episodes where we do retrospectives, like maybe like a game review, more conversation type episodes like this, sort of diversify what the content is that we're putting out to sort of really offer as much as we can in terms of that avenue. So I couldn't agree more. I also really hope we get an intro by the time we come back, because that would be nice. And I would like to try to make that. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for us pretty much this week. You guys got any closing thoughts you want to toss out there before we wrap it on up?
The intro song should be the game chat rap, and you should spit some game in bars.
No, if I'm doing the animation, you're doing the audio. That's how.
The animation.
Of course, bro. There has to be an animation, some sort of edit, some cut.
Tom's going to learn After Effects over the course of the break.
I already know it. That was part of
it should just be a compilation of like Tom's face screenshots that we have acquired over the seasons.
That would be quite the intro. Well, we'll see what we can do. But yeah, I think that will pretty much do it for us then this week. Like we said, we're going to be taking the break. It's going to be about a month's time, and we'll keep you posted. We'll let you know what we're doing. We'll give you some teases of what's to come on our Instagram at GameChat_Tom Lucas. And in the meantime, check out some of the older episodes. Tell us what you like. Share it with your friends. It's a perfect time to bring some new people in, while we take a break and improve. And in the meantime, the two like most immediate events I can think of that we're going to cover were mentioned earlier, both being Jeff Keighley's Game Splooge and the Xbox Live event on June 9th and 12th, respectively. So you can look forward to that in the meantime. And also we'll be putting in advance whenever we'll be streaming. Like I said, I know we'll be playing some Multiversus this coming weekend. I'm very excited to play with you boys in Wrexham House as Wonder Woman. I'm very excited. Keep it locked. And yeah, I think that's all I got. You guys get anything else before we close on out?
Thanks for having me. I said it before, but I'll say it again.
Hey man,
always.
I love having you, Tim. You're great. You're a great addition to the podcast. So
I love talking to you guys. Thanks for having me.
Tim might be. Does Tim now have the lead in people with a game chat guest appearance?
Tim,
or is he
Tim
tied
is
with someone?
the only reoccurring guest. I guess Trevor and Jake technically, because they do streams.
Well, on the podcast.
But yes, on the pod. Yeah, Tim's the only reoccurring guest at this point.
All right.
So we'll keep that going for sure. All right. Well, sayonara. Thank you for watching with us throughout these 16 episodes. And don't go anywhere. Keep it locked. Bigger and better things on the horizon. And we'll see you in season 3.